author of the Assessment of Emergent Bilinguals. So I wanted to just give a little background on how I came to write this book. I started as a PhD student at Arizona State University, where I began to do research and show interest in assessment, especially validity of test use for emergent bilinguals. So I was invited to teach the assessment class and taught it for many years, for many programs. Also wrote the course for ASU. When I was a PhD student at Arizona State University, I took several psychometric courses through the psychology department to try to better understand all of this from a psychometric perspective. And so I began to realize this is a really complicated topic. And so I needed to organize it in my own brain. So in my notes, I started to organize it by purpose, use, method, instrument, not always in that order. Didn't always call it PUMI. But when I started to write this book, I was experimenting with different acronyms about how to remember this. And almost everything we do in this book is through this PUMI framework. It's how I talk about assessment. It's how I ask questions about assessment. When somebody asks me for a recommendation, like what's the best Spanish language assessment? I always come back with PUMI questions like, well, what's the purpose? What are you trying to measure? How are you going to use the results? So I frame questions around this. I frame narrative around this, the way I speak, the way I write. And I also suggest you do the same. This is, again, it was a way for me to kind of just organize all these topics and also explain them to students. So for my students, I often will use PUMI as a verb, like, did you PUMI that? Or could you PUMI that? Or before we talk about this assessment, can you PUMI it? So that might sound kind of weird, but that's kind of how it's evolved. The book was published in 2017. It's kind of the result of me looking for a good book. I mean, there were good books out there, but I felt like I was having to piece things together. I really wanted a nice solid chapter on history, and I wanted a nice solid chapter on validity, and I wanted those in the front of the book because those have to be kind of upfront and known, I think. So anyway, I started calling around to publishers, and eventually one said to me, well, I think you should probably write this book. And then I did. It was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my professional career. Lots of long nights in the library, not seeing my family. Published in 2017. Also recently, I was asked to do the second edition, so I will be working on that soon. But I think that's about it. That's the kind of how I got here and how I wrote this book. And I hope it helps you understand assessment at a deeper level. And I hope it helps you write about assessment at a level. And that's it. Thanks.